So let's probably start with the first pull request that was merged after the previous public meeting and from our list, and it was by Alex, the test connection button, the instant test connection functionality.
Okay, good. Yeah, hello. So just let me share my screen and I will show you how it works. Okay, now I suppose you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, nice. So, okay, what do we have? At the Adobe Stock Integration settings, now we have a test connection button, which allows us to test our API key, which we have, which we generated the Adobe integration page. So how it works? For example, let's assume that this key, which we already have in the API key, is valid. So we decided to test it. We press the test connection and just we send a request to the Adobe service, and let's just wait for, yep. So if it's correct, we will see this connection successful message. For example, let's decide to remove some symbols, yes, and test it again. So connection failed. But we allow to save this incorrect API key. So with the save config, with the save config, and also, one second. So let's test again, and it should be failed. Yes, it's the correct result. And again, we insert the correct one, and yep, connection is successful. So with this functionality, we provide for our admin users nice chance to validate API key before saving it, and just prevent the incorrect behavior at any other page where we will include our functionality. So maybe that's all from me.
I have a question. This is Alina. Yeah, that looks great. So my question is, if you save the configuration with incorrect API key, will you show the message that the API key is incorrect, like persistently?
We'll show this message instead of the greet when you try to access Adobe Stock.
No, I mean in the configuration. So, for example, if I inserted incorrect API key and save the configuration, will I see the message that I actually inserted incorrect API key? Make sense? Does the question make sense?
Yeah.
I got your questions, but from the demo that we just had, looks like it is not. So you can put incorrect key, you can save it, but you won't get any like a error message until you will click test connection button. Alex, is it correct?
Yes, correct. Previously, we had such implementation, though, but then we decided that we will rely only on an admin user who will just validate it before save. But this approach, I mean, that showing message that the API key is incorrect, yes, we can implement it if needed, but currently it's not.
Yeah, that needs to be shown that it's incorrect, because if user doesn't test the connection before saving configuration, he will never find out that he inserted incorrect API key until he goes to like Adobe Stock Integration interface and see that.
And there is a potential drawback of it. For instance, if you put some API key, which is when you were saving it, it was success, but then later it was revoked or invalid on the Adobe side. And then, for instance, it goes to the image upload configuration, actually to another section a group and trying to change something there, this will trigger potentially API key validation. And that's a question if we want to have such behavior or not. So we need to consider like several use cases when we may get this kind of message.
Yeah, we already considered adding the message into Adobe Stock UI integration. So if the API key is incorrect, there should be a message, like persistent message.
Okay, Alena, do you mean that we should just show, like, test connection on the page load of the configuration and show the first result of our test connection that is actual for the time when the page was loaded, right?
So kind of, I just, as a user, I just want to insert the API key, save the configuration, and if the API key wasn't correct, see the message that the API key wasn't correct.
But the question was, what if you edited any other field rather than API key and you submitted the form? But at this point, API key just gets invalid on the Adobe side. Do you want to see this message despite you was editing something else?
But the message will be next to the field. It's not going to be a regular admin message. So the message is the same that you see when you push the test connection button.
Okay, so Sergey, let's create the task for that, and let's work with Alena on describing the flow and use cases to make sure that we are aligned on functionality, how it should be.
Yeah, I think I understood the requirement. Yeah, and I think we will just check the connection.
Yes, Alex, go ahead.
Okay, yes, and please add me to this issue. I just want to proceed with it, and I implement some change requests if needed.
Oh, great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, guys. One last question. Maybe just I had just bad connection. But what about having this check? I mean, that Adobe API key or access token is invalid. For example, when a login, when admin logins to the Magento admin, yes, just we show the regular message that something wrong with the Adobe settings.
Like the same kind of message as cache is invalid or indexers.
In notification area.
Yeah. That's what you mean? Alena, what do you think about it?
I'm not sure, like, what other message you're going to show if something is wrong with the API key.
So it's if at some point API key will become invalid, we will add the message to the notification area, like the yellow box on top of dashboard. That's what Alex is proposing.
So you're saying that kind of when I saved the configuration, the API key was valid, but then like when I was during the time I used this integration, something happened and this API key not valid anymore. What should I see in the configuration?
Not the configuration, but all the pages of admin panel. Like in case your cache is invalidated, you'll see a yellow invalid. Yeah, you see a yellow box on top of each admin page saying that your cache is invalid. The same yellow, the same notification will be shown if you configure tax settings incorrectly. That's the closest case to our situation.
The tricky point here is that we have similar functionality, for instance, for the payments methods, where you put your credentials, public keys, private keys, whatever else we have. The question is, do we do same kind of validation on the admin login? And if not, probably we should not do the same for the Adobe Stock API. So we probably should not introduce something outstanding here.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I doubt that we need to kind of persist that notification the way we persisted about taxes or about shipping, because definitely the use case is not that critical. It doesn't affect the shopper experience at all, because kind of the reason why we show that message about taxes or shipping methods is because if something is invalid, it will affect shopper experience. But with Adobe Stock, it's not like that. So definitely the message needs to be displayed only in the configuration area and in media gallery when we have Adobe Stock integration.
Yeah, actually another drawback that we can have from displaying message on all pages is performance, because to show that API key is invalid, we have to perform a request.
Yep.
And yeah, so in this case, we'll have a bit of performance degradation just on this store's configuration page that we are loading with Adobe Stock Integration settings. And that's it. Does this answer your question, Alex?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Pavel, would you like to continue?
Yeah, for sure. Why not? Oh my God. I need to download an extension. Sorry.
Shouldn't take a lot of time.
Okay, it's installed. So, okay, do you see my screen now?
Yes, we are.
Cool. So let me start from the basics. So we do have in here. So in the edit and add a new block sections in admin panel, we have this widget which inserts an image, and in here, oh my God, it's loading. In here, we do have a search in Adobe Stock, and whenever we click on Adobe Stock, we click on any image and we want to save it. So we just click on it and save it. It closes the search Adobe Stock. It closes the insert image widget, and we see only this pop-up for inserting an image. Currently, it's actually inserting the preview image. So I think this behavior should be changed in future. But and also when you like edit it or something, it's like opening the standard Magento one instead of Adobe. Maybe this is also something to think of. And yeah, so one moment I will show you the UI, how it's working. I don't know why actually it's reloading every time. So let me help. So we do have here buttons for the next and previous. Basically, they are just opening the next one image. Also, we have a feature like whenever we click, for example, for a bottom one image, it automatically scrolls you to this image using native functionality of browsers. If it doesn't support it, it will be without a smooth effect, but it will work. The close button, and yeah, on the last one image, we don't have the next button as well. So it actually works with the pagination as well, with the custom, with any pagination. So yeah, I think this is it from my side. Not sure if everything is correct. Yeah, and this one actually information is taken from the image itself. Currently, it's empty from admin panels, from backend, sorry. So this is why it's actually like a title and by author instead of actual information. So it's something
So
to
you're,
think of it as well.
so you're saying the title and author of this image is not defined on the Adobe side, correct?
It's actually not coming out from API. So the API from which is taking from admin panel.
We're not providing it from data provider from the backend side.
Oh,
That's something I think Alex is working on now. And also
Yes.
Alex is going to adjust the saving, the image save behavior according to requirements. So we'll implement our API for saving image.
Yep, and this save save image functionality will also get some attributes required for the front end part. I mean, just title, I don't know, category name and creator information. And yes, we also will save it, and Raul can use it. So
yeah, the front end part.
Progress.
Yeah, the front end part actually is ready, and there are coming titles, but they are empty. This is why I'm just showing you the default, like. So yeah.
okay, great.
And actually, I think we need a separate ticket for safe preview, because I think it's something like security to check before we save, to check the URL and where the guy came from, so that we ensure that the guy is actually from admin panel. So yeah.
So I have a question, if you don't mind. So when you scroll the grid and click the image and open this collapsible panel to see the details about image, and then you scroll down and open another one, will the previous close?
Yes.
Okay.
It closes the previous and scrolls you to the bottom. Like, awesome. For example, if I'm at the top and I scroll down, I click, it closes the top one and opens this one in the center of the screen.
Okay, that's awesome. And also, just didn't get completely right whether the save preview was implemented or not, because you initially showed that.
It actually saves this image. This one image in the grid, it has a lower resolution. This one image in preview, it has a bit higher resolution, but we have an original image which is actually not saved for now, because I'm pretty sure that I saw in source codes, I saw that there are coming widths and heights, and they are for 4K screens, for 5K screens, and etc. And I'm pretty sure that that this is not the 4K screen. So this is actually for a preview only. So there should be some kind of.
And it has a watermark, so that's definitely a preview.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the question?
Yeah, so and that is correct, because you save the preview, you don't save the full resolution image here. So just to understand, when you save that image, it is saved locally to Magento Media Storage, whether it's like local Magento folder or CDN, whatever is set up, or what happens?
Actually, it's not the save preview functionality that we are going to have. It's so we would like to add more to it. It's a good start that we can use, but yeah, it's so Pavel is showing the task for extended preview UI, and with really nice features here. Yeah, but
it's a front end part, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I understood. Okay. Okay, that's okay then. From UI perspective, it works great.
Yeah, and from UI perspective, we should definitely change the save button, because it works differently in at this grid and differently on Search Adobe Stock. So I have seen the code how it works in here. So if you need my assistance on saving the correct way, just ping me.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pavel.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So the next contribution. Raul, if you'd like to show us a repository WebAPI and some API tests. And
yeah, sure. I'm going to show it directly in the pull request. And you guys can see my screen?
no,
Not yet.
not yet.
Видишь таблицу? Таблицу видишь?
Better now?
Yes.
Да?
Okay. I believe it's this one. What this pull request is was to provide web API for the Adobe Stock Image repository. If I can show you some of the as well as covered with tests, with web API tests. During the work of this pull request, I also noticed in the ACL permissions, we used to have this item in here, which belongs to Adobe Stock Image. I think that's something I added in a previous pull request, so I took the time to fix it and put, since I was modifying all this area, I changed it to be inside System Adobe Stock Actions, and now it's part of the actions, no view anymore. That's basically what this pull request is about, is to provide web API for the Adobe Stock, asset repository save, asset repository delete, and delete, actually delete by ID, because we decided later that delete was a bit redundant. If we have delete by ID and we have save, that's enough. I don't know, guys, if you have any questions about this pull request.
No question from my side.
Yeah?
No, that's great. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Raul. Okay, we have another contributor on the call. It's Sergey.
Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. So, do you see the screen?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I worked on an issue with removing the global label for the text connection button. The pull request is already merged. There is a little changes. Yeah, you can check it here. So, and the second issue, it is save the grid and expanded image state. So I started working on this issue, and for now it's in progress. So I decided to reuse the default Magento bookmarks feature, which allows to save the grid state in UI bookmark table. So for now it works, but it doesn't save the sort, so I need to recheck it. Also, we can test it a bit. Yeah. Yeah, the filters should be saved. Yeah, it works. But also I had added a custom functionality, and for now it also saves the index of the selected, like of the expanded image. So for now we have like index here. So I proceed working with this issue, and I guess I will show it on the next demo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Looking forward for your presentation on the next demo. Yeah, I see that Vladimir joined the call. Vladimir, would you like to show us the MFTF tests and coverage?
Hi, everybody. Actually, I was in the process of changing it after comments, so I decided to revert it back. And I'm still in progress to making it work. So the entire Magento, I mean, because I had a lot of things changed. So maybe I can pass right now and go next one if we have somebody else.
Okay, sure. Take your time. Christopher, would you like to tell us something about authentication?
Yes, thanks. Let me start my screen share. So I think the next two milestones for that involve licensing and downloading of the licensed asset are going to require some new code to be introduced. It's going to require authentication against the Adobe system, which is not something specific to stock, but is required for pretty much accessing any other Adobe service. So the way that we plan to do this in this integration is using OAuth. And so right now I'm on the Adobe IO, www.adobe.io site, which is the provider of all the APIs that you guys are using under the hood. And down here is a overview of OAuth authentication. Now this, I recommend, anyone who's interested in this, look at this. However, this is, again, it's not specific to stock. And unfortunately, they don't have sample code here for PHP. So I created my own documentation for stock, and I created some PHP sample code as well. So some of these things I'll show them kind of out of order. Just know that they're available, and we'll figure out some way to put all the resources together in one. Maybe I'll post it to the wiki so you know where to go. So this is the general documentation. In GitHub, under the stock API docs, this is a document that I created here called stock authorization code workflow. It's a PDF. And this goes through the specific process of everything that needs to be done. At a high level, what needs to happen is, and I'm not sure if there's any model for this in Magento today, and maybe you have other integrations that do this, but basically I zoom in here. No, it's not letting me zoom. Anyway, at a high level, there's going to have to be some server, some login page. The login page is going to redirect the end user to Adobe IMS, which is our identity management system. IMS is going to then allow the person to sign in. And then when the sign in is successful, it'll redirect them back to you, back to your application, and also give you a token that will be good for 24 hours. There's also a scheme for renewing the token, but for your immediate need, that token can be used to authorize that user. So I have a, oh, the library is not here. And as they say, I'll share all these links later. I have a Bitbucket repository that has the actual PHP code. And I have an open demo here. So once you install the demo and you fire it up, you would start here. And so what I'm going to do, and actually what I'm going to do here in the side is open my console, because I'm also using some PHP browser logging so you can see something happening or see if there's errors. So I'll say log into Creative Cloud, and it has now forwarded me to IMS. IMS is going to ask me for permission to, as a user, saying this application wants to use my login, and I can say yes. Oh, it's funny, I must have already logged in because it's asking me for a different user here. All right, so it actually skipped the login because I must have been logged in another screen. Let me log out and do that again. Let me log in again. Okay, this time. All right. In this case, it didn't ask me for permission because I had already used that. I had already given permission with that email address before. Now that I'm logged in, and you can't really tell anything other than the buttons up here. I'm going to prove that I'm logged in by asking to get my stock quota. Now, if I were to go to the stock website, we can just check that in advance to make sure to see what I will expect to see. Oops. Let me actually choose a. There's a lot of little fun bits here. If you have multiple accounts, you'll have to make sure you're in the active account. Okay, I'm going to switch to an account that actually has some images. Oh, my credits. This might work, but this one would be better. Okay, here we go. All right, so when I request my quota from my demo page, it should tell me I have 96 image credits available. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click Get Quota. It should fire off a request, and there it is. So in the background, it's using that token that I generated through this login process. For the purpose of this demo, I'm actually storing it as an HTTP cookie. But these are some designs that you guys, I think, particularly the Magento team, may have to think about how this kind of, would integrate. It is using some server-side pieces to post and do the forwarding to to the Adobe IMS system, and such things as like where the token is going to be stored for security purposes. You don't want, it can't get out because otherwise a user could spoof another user. Yeah, I'm thinking perhaps maybe your UI designer may want to take a look at this and try to figure out what might be best, or maybe you guys know if there's some existing login patterns that you guys have with other third-party integrations that you might be able to reuse. But I'm happy to help with all this because this is a more complex piece. I think though once it gets solved, it'll really help you move quickly. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for this information. So we actually currently working on login functionality. It's in progress, and it will be very helpful for us. So it's just in time.
Oh, good.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Okay, Vladimir, are you ready?
Let's skip one more.
Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have any other things to skip, so probably I
Maybe you can
think
briefly share what are our next steps.
yeah. So we at the moment we don't really have any vacant, almost no open tasks in our repository in the project. However, we are going to add them soon, I guess, and we have a lot of tasks in progress. Like all of the tasks that we have are in progress. Currently, we work on login implementation and saving preview image. We have big backlog of MFTF test coverage though, and it's available for just to pick up and work on it. And as we are completing the first milestone of project development, we are switching to second milestone. That is about licensing and purchasing images. So we'll work to create a backlog for the second milestone soon. And while some tasks are already in progress, some tasks will be added. We'll be able to unblock a lot of development as soon as we will implement saving. We will complete saving functionality and actually the login.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Vladimir, probably you will be able to show the MFTF tests next week on Tuesday if you are not ready yet. That's okay. You will have more tests to show to us. Is it okay with you?
Yeah. So it's just started regenerating me all of the styles and everything. So it probably works. It's just too slow, and yeah. And also, I will fix my pull request, so it'll be better.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for participation and sharing and showing us all this amazing stuff. Talk to you next week. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good job,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.